Dangerous people don't look dangerous. If they did, your brain would have seen them coming. The real threat is always the one your instincts learn to ignore. Number 7, they never react the way the situation demands. This is the first red flag, and the one most people miss. Something serious happens. A boundary is crossed. A tense moment lands in the room. Everyone else reacts. Confusion, anger, discomfort, fear. And this person, nothing. No emotional spike, no visible stress, no nervous system response. At first it looks like calm, maturity, self-control, but your survival brain knows better. Because healthy humans mirror emotional context. Danger triggers microsignals, tightened jaw, changed breathing, defensive posture, emotional leakage. When someone shows none of that consistently, it's not control. It's detachment from consequence. Dangerous people don't feel urgency because urgency requires empathy, and empathy requires internal friction. They stay flat while the situation escalates because escalation doesn't register as a threat to them. Your nervous system notices this mismatch instantly, even if your logic doesn't. That subtle discomfort you feel around them, that's your body asking a simple question. Why aren't they reacting when every signal says they should? Calm in chaos isn't always strength. Sometimes it's rehearsal, and the most dangerous people aren't emotional. They're unbothered by impact. Number 6, they test boundaries casually, then watch your reaction. Dangerous people rarely cross boundaries aggressively at first. That would expose them too early. Instead, they do something subtler. They test. A small disrespect, a joke that cuts a little too close, a comment that feels slightly off, a request that pushes just past what's appropriate. Then they pause, and they watch. Not emotionally, not apologetically, clinically. They're not checking if they hurt you. They're checking how much resistance exists. Healthy people push boundaries accidentally. Dangerous people push them experimentally. They want data, how fast you correct them, how much you hesitate, how willing you are to explain yourself, how easily you override your own discomfort to keep things smooth. Your reaction becomes their roadmap. If you laugh it off, they push a little further next time. If you stay silent, they assume silence equals permission. If you over-explain, they mark you as someone who can be maneuvered. This is predator logic, not cruelty. Predators don't start with violence. They start with calibration. Your nervous system often catches this before your mind does. That subtle feeling of being studied, that's not anxiety. That's pattern recognition. Because people who respect boundaries don't need to test them. And people who test them are already planning what comes next. Number 5, they don't feel fear where fear is normal. Fear isn't weakness. Fear is a regulatory system. It keeps humans from escalating too fast, from going too far, from burning bridges they might need later. Most people feel fear when there are consequences, social, physical, emotional, legal. Dangerous people don't. They speak recklessly in tense situations. They provoke when there's nothing to gain. They escalate without visible concern for fallout. This isn't bravery. This isn't confidence. This is impaired threat processing. In survival psychology, fear acts as friction. It slows behavior, adds hesitation, forces reconsideration. When someone lacks that friction, their actions move fast, too fast. They don't calculate risk the way others do because consequences don't register as real. That's why they're unpredictable. Not because they're chaotic, but because nothing inside them says, stop. Your body often reacts before your thoughts do. A tightening in the chest, a pullback instinct, the urge to create distance. That's not intuition mysticism. That's your nervous system recognizing someone whose internal brakes don't work. And people without brakes don't just crash themselves, they take others with them. Number 4, they use empathy as a tool, not a feeling. This one is dangerous because it looks safe. They seem understanding. They listen closely. They say the right things at the right time. But something feels off. They don't empathize to connect. They empathize to map. They remember what hurts you, not to protect you from it, but to know where the leverage is. In survival psychology, real empathy creates vulnerability. It comes with emotional cost, internal friction, and need to care. Predatory empathy doesn't. They can mirror your pain without absorbing any of it. They can validate your feelings without feeling responsible for the impact. That's why they can turn on you so fast. Yesterday's "I understand you" becomes tomorrow's pressure point. Your nervous system notices this mismatch: warm words, cold behavior. They know how you feel but don't seem affected by that knowledge. Because to them, empathy isn't connection, it's reconnaissance. And people who gather emotional intelligence without emotional consequence aren't bonding, they're preparing. Number 3, they escalate slowly, then suddenly. This is where danger hides best. At first, everything is gradual. Small requests, minor pressure, tiny shifts in power, nothing dramatic, nothing obvious. Your system stays calm because nothing seems urgent. Until suddenly, everything changes. A sharp demand, a boundary crushed, a situation that escalates faster than you can process. This isn't impulsivity, it's staged escalation. Dangerous people don't rush. They condition. They normalize small discomforts so you don't react when the big one arrives. Your survival brain is built to detect sudden spikes, but gradual pressure flies under the radar. That's why this works. When escalation finally happens, you freeze. Not because you're weak, but because your nervous system didn't get the warning signal in time. By the time your body catches up, they're already ahead. This is why "I didn't see it coming" isn't a failure of intelligence. It's what happens when someone understands pacing better than you do. And anyone who controls the speed of escalation controls the situation. Number 2, they make you doubt your own perception. This one is subtle and extremely dangerous. You notice something off, a contradiction, a shift in tone, a behavior that doesn't match their words. So you bring it up, or at least you hesitate, and they respond calmly. Too calmly. They don't deny aggressively, they reframe. "You're overthinking." "That's not what I meant." "You're being emotional." "You misunderstood." Individually, these phrases mean nothing. Repeated, they do something lethal. They disconnect you from your own signal. In survival terms, perception is everything. If you can't trust what you notice, you can't react in time. Dangerous people don't need to control your actions. They control your interpretation. Once you start questioning your own read of reality, you delay response. You explain things away. You stay longer than you should. Your nervous system fires an alert, but your mind overrides it to stay reasonable. For that internal conflict, that fog, that constant self-doubt, that's not confusion. That's perceptual sabotage. And anyone who interferes with your ability to trust your own signals is not misunderstanding you. They're disarming you. Cure number 1, you feel smaller after interacting with them. This is the final red flag and the most reliable. After spending time with them, nothing dramatic happens. No argument, no explosion, no obvious abuse. Just this: you feel quieter, less certain, more cautious, slightly diminished. Your posture changes. Your words shorten. You hesitate before speaking. Dangerous people don't always attack directly. Some compress. They reduce your range, your confidence, your sense of internal permission. In survival psychology, Power isn't always dominance. Sometimes it's constriction. If someone consistently leaves you feeling smaller, it's not chemistry. It's not insecurity. It's not coincidence. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Dangerous people aren't loud. They're not obvious. They don't announce themselves. They pass unnoticed because they don't trigger fear. They trigger adaptation. You become quieter, more careful, less yourself. That's the signal. This isn't about paranoia. It's about pattern recognition. Your nervous system evolved to detect threat long before language, logic, or social rules existed. When something feels off and stays off, that's not imagination. That's data. You don't need proof to create distance. You don't need permission to disengage. And you don't need to explain survival instincts to people who benefit from you ignoring them. Staying safe isn't dramatic. It's quiet. And the most dangerous mistake is waiting for danger to look dangerous. Your nervous system is adjusting to reduce exposure. Because on a primitive level, your body has already classified them. This environment requires restraint, and anything that requires you to shrink to stay safe is not safe.